So the last thing that I want to demonstrate, and this actually, the main course was where we found a lot of opportunity to either substitute in something or eliminate something. We're serving green chicken enchiladas and portobello enchiladas for lunch today. Now, in both of those recipes, I'll start with the first example of what we found. We did our test bench to try to develop the food so that it would, be appropriate for what we were doing today.
Sure, that tastes good too.
It does, it does, and that's the challenge. You want to, obviously, you want something that you want to eat, but at the same time, if you don't have to put quite the excess in it that typically, especially restaurants do, you don't have to do that. So what we did first of all, and the way I was always taught to start with enchiladas, although through this process I've found that there's many different ways, is to basically pan fry your corn tortillas very quickly. And when we did that, what we found is that every time you did that, even for a small, 5 to 6 inch corn tortilla, every tortilla that you made in your recipe was going to absorb about 2 grams of fat, regardless of what kind of oil you used. Now, 2 grams of fat doesn't sound like a lot, but to make an entire dish or to serve for an entire function like this today, even though, of course, it will be split up amongst many people, we actually, by using an alternate method than imparting fat into our tortilla, we actually reduced the caloric content just from the tortillas and using a different method of almost 9,000 calories in what we're serving today.
Wow.
Now that is for the whole meal.
Deal.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
We are using a portobello mushroom, and I don't know how many people are familiar with portobello mushrooms. We use them a lot in our restaurants. It's a great option to a meat filling. You can use it in any kind of dish. I mean, it goes for Italian, for Mexican food. You can use it in a lot of applications. It's very large. It's very meaty. It's a crimini mushroom, and they just let it overgrow, and they sell it to you. And this is actually one of the smaller sizes. But this is a 2-ounce mushroom here. And we found also with this that typically, and I'll admit we do this in our restaurants too, but to saute this in oil, because these mushrooms are so light in weight for their mass, and they're so spongy, they're extremely absorbent. So what we found is by just by sauteing this 1 2-ounce mushroom, which should make somewhere between 2 and 3 enchiladas, depending on the size of the cap, we found that it absorbs anywhere from 10 to 15 grams of oil. And that's just for one person serving at 2 to 3 enchiladas.
Soaks it up like a little sponge.
Right. So we're already talking about 20 grams of oil. We're getting close to an ounce. And that's just for one person serving. I'll show this to you guys, and I know it's going to be very difficult to see. But I did bring you a sample of 1 ounce of oil. And I know that there are olive oils and canola oils and things that have been marketed and branded to have everybody feel like they're eating a healthier brand of oil. And there are some that are slightly better for your body than others, olive oil especially. But an ounce of oil is an ounce of oil is an ounce of oil. Every ounce of oil has the same number of fat grams, and it is completely fat. It's 100% fat. And no matter what kind of product it comes from, there's 240 calories in a single ounce of oil. So in that 1 cup being that 1 ounce, that's 240 calories.
Just in that little bit. Now,
Just
if you
in that
were
little bit.
drizzling from olive oil from the container right onto the pan, you could easily do
I've made
3-4 times.
many meals that have 3 or 4 times of that just
Yeah.
in the pan that I'm using, for a very small number of people. So again, that's one of the things that restaurants don't pay any attention to, and that's generally what you're going to be getting in a lot of the food you're eating out. And believe me, I'm not advocating for you guys not to eat out. That's not what I'm trying to do. But
Eat at her stove.
Just realize that, especially when you're cooking for yourself at home, that it just you don't need that much, and by what you're adding, you're sacrificing the ability that you may be able to eat a lot of other things that your body will enjoy instead of that 1 ounce cup. That 1 ounce cup actually contains the same amount of calories as a 5-ounce chicken breast that you grill, which is a lot more food than you're going to get out of that. A 5-ounce sirloin steak, which may not be a full steak, but it's a substantially more food than you're going to get out of that. 2.5 apples, 2 bananas, a lot of, again, if you're going to use twice as much oil in a meal and you can reduce it by half, then, as Mr. Labatt had mentioned earlier, it's just about making little accommodations a little bit at a time, and they all add up. I mean, it really is a game of math, adding calories to your body. So I'll demonstrate how we made the green chicken enchiladas without the oil that usually comes with them. And basically, what I have here is the green tomatillo salsa that we also, this is actually a fantastic product. I have looked in so many places for a tomatillo salsa that didn't have a lot of salt, and this is actually a Hill Country Fair product. It has about 1/5 of the sodium per serving as most of the other ones. And we weren't going that direction. That just happened to be the one that we wanted to use because of the sodium content. So it's a very good for you as salsas go product. We got that at H-E-B. So basically what I have here is a warmed tomatillo salsa. The trick to the enchilada is basically is a cold, dry white corn tortilla. You're gonna have a hard time rolling it. It needs moisture, it probably needs heat. And if you can add those things to it in some form or fashion, pan frying is very convenient, and that fat probably tricks your body into thinking that it has flavor. But we used a hot salsa, and we dredged our tortillas in that. And basically what that did is it warmed up what was in our tortillas so that they were pliable.
And there's going to be so much flavor from the salsa and the chicken and your spices alone. I don't think you even need much more flavor.
You don't really. And if you're going to incorporate sauce into your tortillas anyway, then you're basically absorbing that flavor into the tortilla as opposed to just putting it on the top. So it's actually the flavor is actually going to combine a lot better. This is a shredded chicken product that we bought at H-E-B as well. Again, all this stuff you can get at the grocery store. But it's a good product. It's pre-made. It's usually in the butcher section with all the prepackaged meats. But it has a little bit, it has sodium in it. It does, just again for a preservative sake. But it's a ready-to-go product. You don't have any fussing or anything to do. It comes just like that. And basically,
just like that, it's low in fat, low in calories. And how much meat are you putting in there?
We're doing 1.5 to 2 ounces. 2 ounces is actually what we did our calorie nutritional analyses with. But that right there is about 1.5 ounces. So basically, at that point, you would roll it up, put it into either an earthenware pan, something ceramic, or into I use these at home. Just put it in there, and there's no cleaning up later. Give it a little bit of spray. But you haven't added any fat to it other than what's already in the chicken naturally, which is hard to get away from. But there's no oil in your tortillas. By pan spraying your container that you're going to bake in, everything should come right out for you. And you've got a nice product. We also used reduced fat cheese, which is significant in the amount of calories that you save by using it. But unlike a fat-free cheese, it still gives you the appearance and kind of the texture of an actual melted cheese. So you're not sacrificing everything, but you're getting rid of a substantial amount of calories while still retaining, the quality of the cheese that way.
And since it's a reduced fat cheese, not a fat-free cheese, it's going to melt more like a whole fat cheese.
Exactly, yeah. It's much closer to the real thing. So I don't know if you had your information with you, but in our comparisons of what we had put together for you guys for lunch today as compared to what you would find at a traditional restaurant. I don't know if you remember those off the top of your head.
I do actually remember. It was about a 790 calorie difference between the restaurant and between making it at home. And if that's the choice right there between restaurant and making it at home, it seems like that's not really a choice at all.
Right.
If that's what
you're still gonna eat the same volume of food, but that's even a Big Mac and a half, as we found out from earlier. But there are ways to reduce your fat content, your sodium content. Reading labels is important. But like I said, just in the difference in salsa, if you've never checked, I had never checked, and I was very surprised to find it that way. But to go from something that was 18% to 3%, which doesn't, if I open the same can and I would like each product just the same, now I'll always go for the one that has 3%, knowing that it's better for me. But, just being aware of some things that you can cut out of your, what it is that you're making, and just not using the things in excess, especially the oil. The oil really is the worst one. I actually found this out a few days ago when I was doing my research, and to think that how much oil that we use, even at home, and which I'll be able to reduce now because knowing what's in that versus what I could have had instead, and putting the same amount of calories and nutrition in my body, I'm going to be able to cut a lot of that out. It's just not necessary. So.
And this meal came out to be like $1.76 or something. It's on your recipe cards. I actually went to HEB and costed all these ingredients, and I couldn't believe how inexpensive.
Yeah, it is very easy to make. We built it all for a family of 4. For instance, I remember you telling me the rice pudding was an 11-cent dessert.
I couldn't believe it.
So it's cost-effective ingredients. There's a lot of good stuff left in them, but we took a lot of the bad stuff out. And hopefully we gave you a few simple things that we can do, with any food that you're preparing for yourself at home, to just do little steps at a time. And if you can add up those, calories or reduce them, I should say, to just eliminate a little bit here and a little bit there, it all ends up in the end. So.
Really does.
Yep.
Okay. Well, anything else, Jason? Any parting words for us?
I don't really. I'm looking forward to serving lunch to you guys after your walk, and we'll have all the food ready when you get back, and we'll have cold refreshments there in the back. It's probably not too long from now. So
good. That'll feel good after a little warmth outside.